So, growing up, I've had quite a few different experiences with, I guess, paranormal. One consistent thing that would happen in my house was a black figure would like to basically torment me and my family, it seemed like. It would usually hang out like by our garage, where it would be our garage. You would walk in and it'd be like our kitchen, I think, would be over like to the left when you're walking into the house. Right there was very bad negative energy, I guess you could say. And we would just have this black figure, I guess, just messing with us, creeping in corners, shadows, and everyone kind of always has that black figure that they feel like's chasing them when they go up the stairs, but this wasn't like that. I've had that experience as well. This one's different. This was a lot more wanting to do maybe more than just scare me. Felt like it wanted to harm me at some points. I remember there was this one night I was upstairs. We had like this living room area upstairs watching TV. My mom's bedroom was to the left of me, I remember, and I remember just this thing slowly creeping up at the stairs. I was sitting on the couch, it would be like right to the left of me, and I just remember being frozen in fear, just praying that like a sound would happen that would wake my brother up or wake my mom up to come out, turn on the lights, and scare the entity away for me. And I remember being shook that night, legitimately feared for like my well-being, that this thing at any moment could turn from a shadow figure to a solid being and I don't know, cause harm to me. That one sticks out a lot to me.
How old were you?
I had to have been probably sixth grade, I would say. This was that would probably make me around maybe 12, 13. Other experiences were photos of me always flying off the wall, and this isn't like we just kind of nailed or tacked on photos. We would take like that double-sided Velcro. I remember moving out, and we had to like leave some of the frames on the wall because they were like impossible to like take off with us. And we would have those pictures up, and we would wake up or wake up in the middle of the night or wake up in the morning and find that these photos flew off from our wall and they were like family photos of our family. And of course it was me. Every photo that would be on the ground was a picture of me. Very fresh. Not my brother, not my mom, me. On the ground, broken glass, like why me kind of thing. So, these experiences keep me open-minded. I believe in it, but it's also something that I want to stay away from. So there was this presence that was felt in front of the garage. I remember there was one time that my stepdad went into the garage, said, if there's something here, give me a sign. Right when he says that, light bulb shatters, blows out, darkness in there. He slams the door shut, goes inside and says, fuck that. Right above that area is where my upstairs living room was. So it would be, right above would be the staircase where also that presence would be felt, that dark entity. That staircase is the staircase I'm referring to that was in my house. So it was almost like there was like a vortex portal, some sort of area that it could go from its realm to my realm to cause me trauma. There was a spot in my room where it's like you would kind of step down hard on the rug, and it seemed like there was a hole in there. And when you're having these experiences with black entities, shadow figures, it's easy to kind of maybe get into your own head and let your imagination run with it. But when you have enough experiences, is it your imagination? So I had this, it almost seemed like that hole was like a pathway for that entities, energy, spirits, whatever you want to call them, to come through. And of course, my room, not my brother's room. My brother's room doesn't have any fucking holes letting ghosts into his house or into his room. My brother doesn't have any fucking holes in his room letting ghosts in. My mom doesn't have holes in her room on the ground letting ghosts in. It's my room that the ghosts get to come and hang out with me and torment me. So not fun in the slightest. We've had we would have orbs. My mom would see orbs. I wouldn't necessarily have the orb experience, and these orbs would move objects. We would have chairs move out from the table right in front of us, just move out. We would have glasses just shatter, combust randomly. There's a moment where there was this time when I was talking to my mom in the kitchen, and we were just having a normal conversation. There was this candle holder, thick glass, half an inch to maybe an inch glass, little, that would hold a candle, blew up randomly while my mom and I were talking to each other. So just constant disturbances growing up of all ranges, stuff blowing up, stuff moving, dark shadows, nothing ever positive. We had a lot of cats growing up, a few cats. And so we had cat doors kind of drilled into some of the doors. So my mom had a cat door in her bedroom door. So we had this little cat door drilled into their bedroom door. Their bedroom was right next to the staircase, where there was always some sort of black shadow figure. She had some friends over. One of her friends that she had over was a psychic at the time, so a lot of energy is always following her. They were hanging out in there, and all of a sudden, that cat door just starts ripping. My mom says it shoots through there. She says she felt something go through her hip, come out the side of her, goes into her friend, goes up, shoots out the window. The blinds were shut. The blinds start whipping against the glass. They freak out. They run out. What the fuck is that? I mean, they kept that story from my brother and I for a while until we got a little bit older. You know, you don't want to go to your 12-year-old kid and your 14-year-old kid and be like, hey, we got ghosts flying around the house. Growing up, my mom was in childcare. So before she started on her psychic journey, growing up, she was always teaching children. So we had an at-home daycare growing up, and she watched I think it was like 5 kids, and they would go in and out. They would get older, they would move on, but kids are more susceptible to energies and spirits in the afterlife. And I remember there's multiple occasions of different children coming up to either me, my brother, or my mom saying, you have ghosts in your house. And we'd be like, oh yeah? What makes you say that? Oh, well, that chair over there moved and there's no one over there. Or that thing just fell off the table. Or I thought I heard, there's that little voice that's over there. And what do you mean little voice over there? Oh no, they're friendly. What do you mean they're friendly? I hope you're not going home and telling your parents that there's ghosts at your babysitter's house. So just a lot of not only me experiencing things at my house and my brother or my mom, but kids being like, oh, there's ghosts at your house. Luckily, there was never any sort of negative energy that seemed to happen with the kids being watched, but just more proof that there was something going on in that house growing up. Growing up in the house, all the photos that were ever taken, and this was before camera phones, so there were disposable cameras. Every single time we would have something developed, there was either these weird streaks that would go across the photos, and then always the classic orbs. I've known you guys have seen them. It's very common that, but it wouldn't be just one in the corner. It would be, sometimes a photo would be cluttered with them. It'd be a photo of me and the orbs are cluttered around me. It'd be a photo of my mom. They're everywhere. And then it got to a point where it's like, okay, maybe this isn't just something going on with the development at the 24-hour photo. There's something happening here. So my mom contacted one of her friends that was familiar with spirits and stuff like that. And so we had her come in, did the sage and remove it, and it helped for a while. Photos went back to normal for a bit until they came back again. And until we moved, honestly, it wasn't until we got out of that house when photos started to go back to normal without orbs or weird streaks or just weird kind of things in the background of a photo where it could be just lighting or it could be some sort of shadow figure. Growing up, we had other kids in the neighborhood, childhood, friends, and they would even say sometimes in their houses they had some weird experiences. We would always joke that we thought that maybe our neighborhood was like built on top of like a Indian reservation or something like that, because there was just weird energy always. Our across the street neighbor, we had this experience of like a 24-hour standoff where this guy went nuts and was like shooting at cops. Like, that's not a normal thing to happen in a nice, rural area in the city. And in that standoff, we actually got kicked out of our home, and they used my bedroom and my brother's bedroom. The cops, SWAT, they used our bedroom as sniping. They literally used our rooms. Our windows were diagonal from the house that was having the standoff, and they used our bedrooms as snipers. So just literally bringing in and attracting negative, like, experiences. I have fucking cops in my room with sniper rifles. This isn't normal. That's not a thing that happens in a nice, quiet neighborhood. If it was like one or two things, it would seem like, okay, yeah, things happen in neighborhoods. You can't avoid it. But when it's consistent and it's constantly happening, weird things happening, this and that, how can you not start to think that maybe there's something more going on? There's a vortex happening. There's portals happening. There's something that's attracting and bringing in all sorts of energies, bad, positive, good, deceitful, whatever it is. But you can have enough experiences and start getting a little bit of pattern recognition to where you realize, no, this isn't just random experiences. There's something bigger for sure happening here. There's been countless of experiences in that house that not only I had, but my brother and my mom has had as well, that I'm sure they have their own stories and that they could absolutely share if they, wanted to, but they're similar to me where they want nothing to do with it. So we would have shadow figures, we would have scratching, we would have doors slamming, we would have stuff moving, but my mom always told my brother and I growing up that if you don't allow it to come in, it won't come in. If you ask it to leave, it will leave. So luckily, my brother and I would never antagonize it. We would never invite it in. If we ever had any sort of paranormal experience with it, we would immediately say, you're not welcome, you have to leave, or just simply ignore it and not give it the time or energy or satisfaction of it actually scaring us or messing with us, and hope that it just gets bored and goes off somewhere else to harass somebody else. There's one night in particular that I really try not to talk about or think about, and it's kind of, my memory of it goes in and out a little bit from kind of pushing it down and not wanting to think about it. But I was home alone. I was pretty young. I had been in middle school. I don't know exactly what age. My brother wasn't there. He was actually, oddly enough, spending the night at Colton's house at the time. So I'm there home alone. I hear a knock at the fucking front door. It was like a settled knock. It wasn't like bang, bang, bang. It was just a normal knock, but definitely wasn't normal for the time of day it was. I hear the knock. I hear, let me inside, I want to play. Just shivers up my spine, thinking there's no fucking way I'm hearing a voice. I look outside, and it is like a kid out there. But he's like pale white to the point of like almost like he's glowing. And I just immediately shut the blinds and stood back there in almost disbelief of what I'm looking at. Like, this isn't a ding dong ditch scenario. This is something that I don't know what it is, and I know I'm not opening up that fucking door. So when I was really, really young, this thing would happen, and it would kind of only happen when I was like really sick. I would get sick, and I would get like really out of it. And I was really young. Had to have been more of elementary school. I would get kind of like delirious in and out of sleep, and I would talk about these like little figures that I would see running across my room. And I would like, from what I'm told by my mom, I would be talking in my sleep and mumbling weird off center, I would be mumbling these weird sentences talking about these little people. And my mom would be like, fucking little people? What are you, Casey, what are you talking about? And would look at the TV or look at like where I'm like pointing at half awake and be like, I don't see anything. And so when I remember I got better, the flu went away, my fever went down, and my mom's telling me about that, and she was asking me like, what did you see? Do you even remember? And I was like, I don't really remember. I kind of remember what you're talking about. I do remember maybe seeing these little shadow figures, but there was a shadow, like this short shadow figure with a hat. And my mom goes, okay, what do you mean? There's a short, shadow. What do you mean short shadow figure with a hat? And I was like, well, there was just like, it was like a guy, but he was, just really, really short, and he wore like a little top hat, almost like a little leprechaun, to give an example of. And she's like, well, could you draw it for me? And so I drew it and was like, yeah, it looked like this. And it was a fucking terrifying drawing of this little guy with this like top hat. And she's like, I don't like that. And that would happen almost every time I would get sick or if I was really tired. These shadow figures and that little shadow figure, the short guy with a hat, would always be running around, shifting in corners, running up the stairs, causing chaos in my house. There was this night that I had the flu, a little bit of a fever, and my mom gets a phone call late at night. It's from one of her friends that she hasn't talked to in a while. And her friend is someone who has a gift with the paranormal or the spirits. She calls my mom saying that she's been worried about me and that I need to not listen to the man in the hat.